All right, so this is going to be our last, not rigging assignment, but this is going to be our last setup for uh, rigging essentially before we move on to uh, what will be the last assignment, which will be skinning and weight painting. Um, so we'll be focusing on the head today. We're going to be doing what's referred to as blend shapes, which means that we'll be having some sculpted shaping in the mesh that will allow us to create some expression. So here's some examples of a blend shape. And this is a set-driven key controller that I created. And I'll show you guys how to do it. And basically allows for a character to have different expressions and stuff on the face. Um, and you can kind of, let's say when the character's talking, you can make a very quick, easy expression and go from there. Let me take off his mask. Okay, there we go. So this is, what we'll be focusing on. We're going to be doing a controller setup for a mouth. We're going to be doing multiple blend shapes for the mouth region itself. I will say the blend shapes are actually something you can use on multiple parts of the body, not just the head. You could do blend shapes for flexing muscles like in the arms or jiggling bellies or really whatever you want. But for this particular instance, we'll be doing in instances where the blend shapes are controlling portions of the mouth, portions of the face, and giving us something that we can also control blinks. So here I have a blend shape that is blinking the eyes, and that's a really good use for it. So just to reiterate, a blend shape, meaning you're blending between one shape to another, is just a sculpted portion or just a sculpt that we add to a mesh that we can then blend back and forth to. That's all blend shape is. So like say this one right here is a closed eye blend shape that I'm activating. And basically I just sculpt the eye closed, and then I will say, hey, I want to create a controller that'll blend from this eye closing to the eye being open. And that's really the point of it, is you can blend from one thing to another. You can also have corrective blend shapes. Say, for example, if I had the mouth opening really wide, you might have like this little cleft here that doesn't look very good. And what you could do is make a blend shape that kind of fills this in. And then you could set a set driven key that says whenever, this controller opens up, to this point, we could have a blend shape that just fills this in and just kind of lowers that geometry and really fixes that. So that could be a use of it. Additionally, I have controllers you'll see here for the lips. So I can control the lips as the character talks. I have controllers on the top and bottom lips. Usually at minimum, I will have 3 controllers, one on the top and bottom mid, one on the top and bottom left and right. Sometimes you also will see controllers in the corner of the mouth that are also useful as well. So you can use that as you want. And then also we can do blend shapes for, like, say the brow region. So like the character, not blend shapes, I'm sorry, joints with controllers that basically control like a brow region right here. So the character can like get surprised or get angry, whatever you really want. You can kind of add different expressions there. And then also a lot of times I will do blend shapes around the brow region too, that kind of helps, accentuate facial expressions as well. Additionally, we'll have neck controls here, which, we kind of already done a little bit of with that ribbon spine. So that's kind of, that's kind of something we've already worked in here, which is nice. We'll have a head controller that will allow me to basically control the head from the base head joint, and then these facial GUI, which stands for Graphic User Interface. These controllers also attach to the face, um, and then anytime you move the head around, it'll attach to it and move with it. Additionally, the tongue here has a ribbon spine attached to that. We'll do that on the character today, on the lizard today. So that ribbon spine will be nice and useful, which makes sense because he's a lizard dude. Lizards have those long tongues. And for this particular character, I don't think I'm going to do it on mine, but this guy has a nose controller, which allows him to kind of wiggle and sniff. And I'm saying him, it's actually a her. I need to be correct about that. The character is a she. Um, so she's got a little nose sniffer joint right here that she can use to sniff the thing. So um, yeah. So anyway, it's not a difficult setup. Comparatively speaking, like say the IK FK switch is a bit more intricate. But it's got its own challenges and stuff. So I think this will be a fairly straightforward, but the blend shapes might be a little bit challenging for some of you, but I don't think it'll be difficult or anything like that, or too difficult for you guys. So what I'm going to be looking for is basically a lot of you guys have different types of characters, okay? But the base of what I'm going to be looking for is you're going to have a controller that opens and closes the mouth. You're going to have look at controllers that will allow you to rotate the eyes around. You can't see it here, but the eyes are following with an aim constraint. And so the eyes will follow this particular controller. If you have multiple eyes, like some of you have like 6 eyes, you might end up doing, let's say, a controller here for the 2 eyes in the front. You might do 2 eyes in the back for another controller, and then a couple of aim constrained controllers out here on the sides that control eyes on the sides. And then inside each of these controllers, you'll see that I created individual controllers, and those actually control the individual eyeballs. So I can actually separate the control for the eyes if I wanted to, and we'll want to do that as well. That's very useful. So yeah, so we need to have look at controls for the eyes, be able to open and close the mouth. We need to have a ribbon spine for the tongue, and then also we're going to need to have lip controls so the character can actually talk. So we'll need to do that as well. And then you're going to be doing multiple blend shapes so the character can emote with the mouth, and then also open and close all of the eyes on your character. So I have a blink left, and then a blink right. And then when you run them together, the character can blink both the eyes. So she's got a lot of flexibility here, a lot of character, and it's fairly straightforward. And then also, again, some of you guys have ears, some of you guys have different appendages coming off the head, and so I'm going to expect you to look at ways to properly rig those appendages. So like some of you are doing bunnies, so those ears need to have some level of flexibility to them as well, whether you do that with FK chains, where it's just simple FK controllers, or you want to do something more complicated or a little more advanced, like with ribbon spines, you'll need to do that as well, okay? So this will be a rig that'll be varied, because a lot of you guys have different, types of things, types of shapes for your heads and faces, but we're looking for a similarity here of features. Okie doke. And then for the blend shapes, at least the ones for the mouths, I'm doing multiple controllers that control one side versus the other. So you'll need to divide up your blend shapes, and I'll show you how to do that so that we can control one side versus the other. And then same thing for the eyes. We'll want to have individual blinking controls for every single eye that the character has, okay? So we're going to get started with that. and we will, yeah, we'll just go and get started.